Welcome back, everyone, to the Black Robe podcast. I'm so happy to be here. For those who don't know, my name is Anzhane Slaughter, and I am here with my lovely co-host, Miss Carol Mitchell. How are you doing, Miss
Hello.
Founder?
I am going to start with a line from The Wiz. Don't bring me no bad news. I don't know if you know that song. Evil
You know
Lee,
what? No
she
negative
sings that
energy.
song. Don't bring me no bad news today. I'm not talking about death, dying, negative. No,
Nope.
today is nothing but positivity.
There we go. Positive energy is floating in this space. And that's all that the IBJ has to bring for us today. Okay, we're going to start with celebrating a progressive bill that Washington State has just signed. Kudos, Governor Inslee, for signing House Bill 1443. This was championed by Representative Melanie Morgan out of the 29th LD. Man, this bill gives us, and when I say us, I mean the most impacted community by the war on drugs. Okay, it gives us economic justice within the very mature cannabis industry that has been booming in Washington State, right? This
Yes.
is allocating technical assistance and mentorship for these social equity applicants, right? We're given the pretty much the last licenses that we have to specifically to these communities that were impacted by the war on drugs. I
And
just
I
see that it's
wonder
a
who
way.
that is.
Right. We know who that is. I mean, in the very,
If you don't know,
strategic
call
language.
me.
Right. You know who that is. If you know, you know. But I just think this is economic justice, which is why I'm so excited about it. We at the IBJ, we are social justice advocates, right? So we push for leadership within our community when it comes to injustice. But a lot of times people think about that as only police brutality or,
Mhm.
only the social issues, right? Or we think about injustice within healthcare, right? But oftentimes we don't really think about the economic impacts and the disparities that have still hit these communities. So I'm excited. Washington State, we're not the only ones in the country. I believe now New York has also signed on legalizing cannabis and incorporating that social equity aspect to it. So it's really interesting. It's fascinating work, Carol.
Well, listen, I know there's hand over fist money being made,
Right.
and a lot of that money is coming out of those communities that you referenced, the ones that are most impacted by the war on drugs. That's where a lot of the consumers come from. And so it will be nice if some of that money can stay in their communities or go into the hands of entrepreneurs who come from those communities. So that's good news. Congratulations to Representative Morgan. She had a great year
Oh
getting
yeah.
through her Juneteenth bill and now getting the
Mm-hmm.
social equity bill. Her and freshman Senator Tawana Nobles got 5 bills through this year, which is
Oh yeah.
unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Tara
Jesse
Simmons,
Johnson's bill went through. I mean,
yes,
with banning the chokeholds, I mean, that's crucial, right?
that's all good
The
news.
no knock warrants.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that no knock warrant, that piece, that's going to save people's lives.
Yeah,
And I hope they
definitely.
don't have a long lead time for when all of these things are implemented. Usually there's like a startup period where everybody's
Mm-hmm.
sort of getting ready. And one of the complaints about I-940 was that police departments didn't really have time to get the system set up before all of a sudden
Right.
they had to implement it. So hopefully people are getting ready now
Mm.
for these
Yes,
new laws and new expectations because people's lives depend on it.
definitely.
Tonight, though, we
Well,
have a special surprise.
you know what month it is, right? It's May. It's finally May. It's Mother's Day coming up right around the corner. So we felt here, Carol and I felt that it was, why not welcome in May with my mom?
How about that? I
Yeah.
love that idea.
Yes.
Yes. So do you
Yeah.
want to introduce her? Should I bring her in right now?
Yeah, well, real quick, of course, other than just being my mother, she's always been a lifelong advocate for the African American community. She is a movement maker for the IBJ, has donated, plans on buying tickets for the Leadership Summer Symposium.
Yay.
Definitely a supporter. And I just can't wait to ask her a couple questions with you guys. You know, Carol, you're a mother. I'm not a mother, but I need some advice because motherhood is, I ain't pregnant right now, but
yeah, and if me and your mama have anything about it, you won't be pregnant for a while.
Oh, well, let's talk about it. So bring her on, Carol. Let's have some mother talk.
All righty. So let's see. There she comes. Yes,
there she is.
She's gonna be your mama, and I'm gonna be your church mama.
There you go. You're gonna be Auntie Carol.
Auntie Carol. I'm the one that has the lap scarf that I'll come put over your lap if the skirt ain't.
Okay. All
Hi, Selena.
Hi, Miss Carol and Miss Mitchell.
Oh, Carol is just fine. Welcome, welcome. So, hey, Anzhane, why don't you go ahead and introduce your beautiful mom?
Yeah, or Mom, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Can you tell our audience a little bit about you, where you're from, maybe how many children you have, and any sort of advice you would give to a new mother. That's one thing that we were just talking about. So go ahead.
Well, hi, my name is Angelina.
My name is.
You might have to start over. Hi, my name is Jelena Mathis. I am Anjane's mother, and I also have a son, Prince Daryl. And I was born and raised here in the Northwest, and raised in Seattle, born in Seattle at the University of Washington Hospital. My grandmother raised me along with my dad and a bunch of aunties, and also raised in the church. And so my foundation started here in the Northwest, and raised my two children. And it's, as a single mother back in the early 90s. So times have changed, but we got to keep on supporting our children as they grow into adulthood.
So Selena, you and I have something in common because we both grew up in the church, as they say.
Yes.
And we both had the joy of parenting. I have 3 daughters. You have this beautiful daughter that I get to share. And so let's compare some notes about advantages and benefits of being in a church community when we were growing up.
Well, I feel that it is key to raising our children in the church when we're going through, just life, raising our children. A lot of times I said, we got to get to the church for prayer, for support. Again, I said I was a single mother at the time, raising my children, married now, but raising my children as they were growing up through, there was vacation Bible schools, Wednesday night prayer meetings, calling up the first lady and the pastor of the church to say, my children are, have given me a tough time, whether it was not going, to, vacation Bible school. They would call me up and say, okay, give me advice, give me support, or give me prayer. So I could go to the church ladies and the first lady to get the support. And it was a family, family support, in addition to my, own rearing with my own family at home growing up myself. So that's key to get that support.
Yeah.
I was caught between a Southern Baptist mama and an African Methodist Episcopalian father I was raised though in the Kojic church.
All right.
So I was confused at first. Like, okay, what are we? But the point was that we were never without a sense of faith in God. Whether it was in the Baptist church or the Methodist Episcopalian church or the Kojic church, that was a consistent theme throughout our lives.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember, I mean, I think, and I'm going to be straight up, you know, on the Black Robe, we're transparent. Okay. I don't want to sugarcoat. And the kids that grew up in the church, you know, they were a handful too. Like we wasn't all saints. We were just regular kids in the church, which is what made it so fun. It's what brought us back. It's what made the people that I went to church with like family too, you know, like cousins, even though we just went to church together. But we would go bowling. We would go and play laser tag together. We would do fun little activities. And then at the end of the day, everybody kind of knew what was right and what was wrong. You know, nobody, because we all met at the church, you weren't going to see one person, you know, encouraging us to just do something out.
Act a fool.
Act
Right.
a fool. Like, you know, it wasn't that. So that's what's nice. It was like we could have fun, and then we could also like hold each other accountable, keep each other in check, you know, and not steer too far off. But
Anjane, I'm wondering if you and Zelina would agree, though, that church for me was the first place I learned to stand up in front of people and actually express myself. I was never a singer, but being able to get up and do the church announcements, girl, I thought I was somebody.
Right. And being in the choir, you were given opportunities to be a soloist if you could sing, you know, or prayer. We had youth day where both of my children were. Anjane, you had times you could give up and recite a scripture, and we gave our children, you know, a support, whether they were singing a solo in the children's choir or going up and doing praise and worship. And that's what it was about, a community of unity to support our families and our children in the church. And
Yeah,
that,
because let's be honest, there aren't a lot of places our children can go to get that unconditional kind of support and opportunity to be seen. To
right,
be seen. And Anjane is always talking about we need some more praise and recognition.
right.
And church was one of those places where you could get immediate feedback. If
Yeah,
you
that's
were
right.
playing the drums or playing the piano or doing a scripture, and you got, you know, the immediate response with the amen or whatever they would say. And so it
Praise the
was,
Lord.
I think it builds confidence for young
Yes.
people to have those opportunities to stand up and be seen, be recognized, and get that kind of feedback. But you didn't give one thing that we, you know, I struggled with, and I'm sure you do, was where the line was between being a really good parent and then trying to do what you felt like you were called to do as a career. So I'm wondering how you balance that out.
Well, for me, it was a constant, you know, balance of raising, you know, my children and going to work. I thought that my direction was in healthcare. So when my children, you know, were young, I took, you know, odd and end jobs, but it wasn't enough to really kind of stay afloat.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked in the direction of going into administration in healthcare, and then with a background in nursing assistant.
Mm-hmm.
I started out as administration through Children's Hospital and worked there for a few years, and then went on to Pacific Medical Center. So a lot of Northwest hospitals and clinics. I found a passion to work with, you know, children and families because of me being a mom my own self and caring for my own children and looking for work that I aligned with that can help others.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of raised that way to reach out and help others and to do fundraising as well as, you know, taking care of others, not just my own. So I found that niche and background in healthcare. And even to this day, I'm working with the Veterans Administration. So I'm a scheduler and administrative assistant at the Veterans Hospital out of American Lake. So I find great pride and honor in helping others, those that have served this country in working still in healthcare. And that's where I'll, retire in healthcare.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're in demand right now.
Oh, I
Everybody
know.
in healthcare.
I know we didn't, most everyone in Veterans Administration were working through this pandemic, had to come in every day, be screened, get COVID screening checks, every day when we came into work over this past year, and, trying to do outreach, to our veterans, and, still carry on from day to day hospital administration activities, and do our best under the pressure of healthcare. And, still being a mom that I am, no matter that, my children are grown now, still doing the best I can to support them through this, this pandemic that we're going through.
Yeah. No, Mom, you've always been just like a super hard worker. I remember, when you were a CNA, she was a CNA working like graveyard shifts, and then I think maybe going to school during the day. And this was when I was in high school. And I was like, oh, you're working overnight, and I go to school and I come home and I got the house to myself.
Yeah.
I just remember, but she would always, keep me busy so that even when she was working job at night, job in the morning, school during the middle or whatever, I didn't have time to just, get into trouble. There was very structure. There was a lot of structure as far as activity. I remember growing up. And you guys, audience, my mom, we grew up under the poverty line. Like we did not have a whole bunch of money. So a lot of these programs were extracurricular activities from the schools that were free, and then I would get bused back. Or she would volunteer, and I used to say this, voluntold, because it wasn't, she would volunteer me, but it wasn't a choice. It's like, you're coming with me to this organizing meeting. And that's kind of how I got introduced into social justice, was because at a young age, I would say maybe middle school age, even, after the after school program, my mom was a part of this festival Sinjata, which took place at the Seattle Center for 12 years of my life. So
we probably bumped into each other at Festival Sinjata.
Well, as far as that upbringing of my own, raised by my grandmother, Wilhelmina Patterson, she taught me to give back to the community, be an activist, be involved in the community, where people have helped her and helped myself along the way to give back and be a part of the community, whether it was League of Women Voters, Festival Sinjata, be active, involved in the church and volunteer. Because again, your hard work and effort and those that came before you, you can't forget about that. You can't forget about where you came from. And so my grandmother instilled in me, which I passed on to Anzhane. Look, there's been others that have, that you don't know, that have been behind the scenes supporting you, and community role models and leaders to say, I may not have mentioned it to Anjanae, well, I had someone help us get through this moment in our life, rough patch in our life. They may have been a part of this one organization. They may have called me, say, hey, can you help volunteer, at our church or our organization? And so I would bring Anjanae along and say, okay, let's volunteer.
She's like, okay, sure, yeah. I got a helper right here.
And so that just was instilled upon me. And then having role models in my life, I pass it on to Anjanae. There are people that are watching you. If you work hard, if you involved, you don't expect something in return. You just do that to reach out and help others. And then, those things will circle around to you in a blessing. And Anjanae saw that. She saw there are people in our lives. And I said, well, you go to the community center. There are people, mentors that can teach you something at the local community center. On top of that, me being a single mom, I'm like, well, maybe I couldn't afford to pay for childcare. Well, you hang out at the community center, be involved with those activities, volunteer. Well, I still have to go to work. See?
Volunteer.
That's
I
right.
volunteer. It's the free childcare growing up.
As a single mom, as a single Black mom, you have to make ends meet. And so when I took a night job as a nursing assistant, I did that so I could be there for Anjanae during the day, during her informative high school years, so I can attend her basketball, games, attend her softball games, support her, get up early. She wanted to be a cheerleader, so be there for her tryouts, or be in there for a play or her musicals and in the band. So, as a single mom, I'm trying to
It's a
all this,
lot.
you know, that's we gonna do the best I could do to show my love and support for you, for my daughter. And that's what we do as moms, right? Miss Carol, that's what we do because we
That's
love
what we
them.
do.
Right.
Now I have had this conversation with my daughters, and I think it's a struggle, Selena, that parents, especially single parents, because they don't have that second parent there as a buffer, and maybe don't have that financial support either of a second income.
Hmm.
When we go back to school and try and get that career, or as my mom would say, get that piece of paper.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Sometimes you feel a little guilty because you're taking time that you could invest in parenting and mothering and being there for your children. Or what ends up happening is you don't get any rest, and you don't
Mm.
have much of a social life of your own because school and work and everything else you
Mhm.
have to do in life just consumes you.
Right.
So what was your secret to being able to be there for Anjanae with all the stuff she was doing? I see now why she's so busy now. This has been her
Right.
life, her whole life.
Yes.
But how did you balance that out? Because you were trying to go to school, trying to work, and when did you sleep? I guess that's my real question.
When I could, just fit in the hours here and there. I mean, really. I mean, because for the times I was working graveyard, and keeping an eye on her and checking on her, and then coming home, getting a few hours of sleep here and there, and then, so it was just trying to be a balance. I mean, I look back and all the time that's gone by, and I was like, well, Lord, how did I do this? It's only by the
Hmm.
grace of God, really.
Mhm.
In
I mean, you could have chosen to not have a career, just maybe stay home, care for your daughter, maybe, whatever benefits you might have been eligible for, get those and do no more. You could have just done that. So why do you think we put ourselves through the extra trouble of going to work every day, going to school,
Mhm.
instead of just doing, I guess I won't say it's
Being
the
a
minimum
statistic,
because, yeah, taking
playing
care of
into
your
the.
child is important. I don't want to minimize that. The mothers who decide to stay home, your
right,
child is
right.
the gift to the future. And so when you make that investment, no shade.
No,
But for
no,
Mhm.
those of
no.
us who didn't,
Hmm. Well, for me, I think it was it was something innate, instilled in me, to not give up, to carry on, and I knew that I was the breadwinner, in the family, to take care of both my daughter and my son. My son is, kind of in some ways special needs,
mm-hmm,
so a lot more time and attention for him to going up to his school, and balancing that out with work and having understanding employers. In healthcare, sometimes employers are a little bit more understanding, because they have that compassion and taking care of. I had to step away from work sometimes to
mm-hmm.
go and attend to my son at school, something's going on, or a teacher parent conference, had to go to even Anjanae's school just to check on things, in high school, and showing that I was that supportive parent. Not all parents could do that. And at times it was really tough, and I didn't know, well, how am I going to get through this? but I did. I pushed through it. I struggled through sometimes, but the thing is, I didn't give up. I still had always had hope, and I
Mm.
reached out to to the aunties in my life for guidance, for the church first ladies, that I was close to. I have some close friends in church this day that Anjane calls aunties. And I call them up, hey, sister girl, hey, sis, I'm going through this, and they have, daughters of their own or sons of their own and say, how'd you get through this? And get advice from them, so I
Mhm.
wasn't afraid to reach out to support, and get the advice from whether it was my grandmother, God rest her soul, she passed in '08, but what instilled in me of her knowledge and love, of raising me and not giving up, that came back out through me of that
Yeah.
for
That
some.
tenacity, that perseverance, I tell you, and that faith in God, it gets me through the toughest, like, and being an entrepreneur, there's like, you have to have that mindset, shift. It's almost like a paradigm shift that you have to experience, and you cannot look at the present and let it beat you down. You got to be able to see past that, and I think, man, mom, I definitely caught that. I'm glad that I caught that ball, because I needed that growing up. And I have friends that are mothers now, that it might look like the light might look dim, right? Because they are so young, and they're having to put their own lives on hold, right? And really step up and take care. And so just having that shift, I think, is even key to those new mothers, and just accepting this blessing, accepting the world and your life as it is, and the experience that you're going to gain, right? Because if we all look at it like, oh no, having this kid is just going to stop everything, or it's just a ball of, it's just a block, like that's not positive thinking. And you're not going to be able to get past that, right? So, mothers could
I'm with you, Anjane. For all the young mothers who are at that point where it's still a struggle, they got little ones, or sort of little ones, and they're trying to get to that next level in their career. The most important thing to remember is that when you finish, nobody asks, when did you finish? You just have to keep going and finish. I was 31
mm-hmm.
when I finished my bachelor's degree. 31, had three. The youngest child was, I think, 4, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was 36 when I finished law school. And nobody
Yeah.
asked me, how old were you when you got your bachelor? Nobody cares. So
Yeah, nobody cares.
don't feel like you're on some sort of arbitrary timeline. If you don't go directly to college when you get out of high school
Mm-hmm.
because you got pregnant and you had a baby, that's all right. Because guess
Right.
what? You can go at 21, 25, 35, 45. You
Mm-hmm.
can go whenever you choose to go.
Yeah,
You can still do
definitely.
it. Don't put these arbitrary timelines on your life, because that just creates stress.
That's right. You
Yeah,
can still accomplish your goals and your dreams, you know.
absolutely. And I gotta say, I've got into a lot of places just off of network, and volunteering and meeting people and offering assistance. And, then people start coming to you with job positions, because you have the experience, right? I mean, it's not always the paper. Yes, I mean, paper is nice, but don't let that stop you either, right? Just get out
Right.
there, volunteer, go and talk to people, make connections, build relationships. Oh yeah,
And
you'll get far.
there's so many programs now for quote non-traditional students, which is what I was,
Mm,
and I'm sure Selena as well. People who didn't come
yep.
straight out of high school and go straight into college, non-traditional. Maybe we have parents or got started late. Clover Park, the whole state actually, I was talking about to say Clover Park Technical College, but all of the community and technical colleges, they have that guided pathways program now for people who maybe started a little late or need to make up some credits. When I went back to school, they said, no, you need some more math because the kind of math you did in high school, that doesn't even exist anymore.
You guys
One
are
plus
using
one
spoons.
does not equal 3. So you got to get some more math. Or you need an extra foreign language, right? Because those requirements change over time. But you can get all that stuff done.
There's so many opportunities for career paths you can go on today, and getting the support from the local institutions, the colleges. They have career counselors. You know, people could go into technical fields. They still need a lot of people in the computer sciences or the MESA program, you know, the Black Science and Engineering programs. So there's so many different directions you go for no matter what age you are. So if you're a mom and you're in your 20s or in your 30s or 40s or 50s, you know, even the grandmoms, you know, grandparents can, find a career path. So don't give up on your dreams, and you can, shed a shining light for your own children. You know, this is
Yes.
Anzhane and your own daughters, Miss Carol, are we're examples for them, positive role models for them to support them on any career path they want to go. That's why I said to Anjanae, I said, dear, whatever you want to be, I'm here to support you. You know, I saw that willingness, that tenacity, that strong will. I said, okay, maybe a good direction to be a lawyer or a judge one day. I just saw that when she was young. I mean,
strong will. Wonder who else heard those 2 words growing up.
So, you know, that tenacity, that will in her was from a baby. So, you know, sometimes we plant these seeds of direction of career paths when they're young, but as they get older, they may decide to be a doctor, lawyer, or an artist, you know, a singer. And so I said to Anjanae, whatever career path you want to go, I'm here because I love you and support you. And wherever you want to go, I'm here for you. And I'll put people in your path, role models, to help encourage you. So if you want to be a lawyer, I'll find lawyers for you. If you want to be a doctor, I'll find a doctor that you can interview and talk to. Remember when you had that interview with the judge and you spent the day with the judge when you were was that in high school? And I said, okay.
Yeah, that was Judge Hawthorne at the Seattle Municipal Court. But it's crazy because since then, I mean, I've had informational interviews with Judge Carl Williams and just building these relationships, Ma. I mean, yeah, I hope that our audience is really taking notes because she's dropping gems. If you guys want, not to say that I'm perfect, because I'm not perfect at all, but what has made me so hardworking and just so driven is the fact that I had a strong support. Well, I had my mother that was pushing me to just never give up, right? To always achieve my, just go after my goals. Nothing's too far out there, right? Nothing's too big of a dream. If your dream's not big, if it's not scary, then it's not big enough, right? Keeping that sort of mentality, and then volunteering and just giving back. I mean, that's why I'm 24. I'll be 25, and this is what you get.
1 month and 1 day.
I know. I can't wait. Oh, I'm so excited. But it's that I think we gotta wrap it up here, Carol. We're gonna have mama talk all day.
Right.
Well, it was such a pleasure to have you, and thank you for the gift of your daughter to the IBJ, to the Black Robe podcast. It's just such a joy to be able to share her. Thank you very much for your example, for the way you had to pray for her and encourage her and support her. And that has made her this powerful, beautiful young Black woman with a strong will.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you, Miss Carol. Thank you, Anjanae. It's an honor to be your invited guest on IBJ Black Robe podcast this evening. And I just want to wish you, Miss Carol, a happy Mother's Day. And all Black mothers out there, I just wish everyone a happy Mother's Day. And, don't give up. Love your children to the fullest. And as far as the children out there, you love your mothers. You only got one mom, and she's there for you through thick and thin. So you all just love each other, and I'll be there and just be supporting my family and my two children as mothers do.
You're
Take care.
beautiful. Anjanae, you are a fortunate girl. You had yourself a good mama.
I got two
Thank
moms.
Thank you,
like
Zelina.
5
Thank
moms.
you. Bye, everyone. Take care.
All right, we'll see you later.
Thank you guys all for tuning in to the Black Robe podcast. This was an amazing episode. I hope you guys really found some value out of the conversation. And if anything, some empowerment, some encouragement to continue going, no matter your circumstance or your environment. It is May. We are celebrating mothers and women all month. So continue to tap in with the IBJ and the Black Robe podcast next week, as we'll be interviewing one of our up and coming young Black leaders who's also a mother, a foster mother. And so that's going to be a really interesting conversation to have. But kudos to the mothers. You mothers, have a great rest of your night. Carol, any last words for our audience?
None from me. I just really appreciate your mom being here tonight. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
It really was. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.